Good afternoon, everyone. It's Aniva Menon from hearthealthbrainhealth.com, encouraging healthy grieving and mindful actions. Today, I wanted to get a video out to you before the end of my day, and I wanted to make sure that I was able to share with you some of the thoughts that I contemplated this morning. And today it was all about infinity. It was about things that are endless, things that are not time bound. And I came across a few quotations that I thought I'd share with you. And the first one is by Lau Tzu. It says, "The key to growth is the introduction of higher dimensions of consciousness into our awareness." And why would this match when I was thinking about infinity, right? So in things that are not time bound. And I think about every thought, word, and action, even if we were to look at it in a quantum mechanics perspective, is out in the universe, and it's held in this field of knowing, of space that is timeless. And so when you hear about mystics or sages that somehow have connected with someone who might have been existing many years ago, sometimes people near death will actually have connection with either God or Jesus or a long lost family member. And this shows that there's something that is timeless, that is transcending time and space in those times. Now, when we think about a materialist sort of perspective, it's very much about objective. Oh, if I can't measure that, then that was probably a hallucination of that person, or it's a person's imaginings, it's a person's creativity in their own mind. And I'd say science has tried to describe things like this with that sort of language for some time. And it's interesting that when scientists themselves go through such experiences, it's a different I know experience, right? And there are also different ways of experiencing these things, even through things like meditation, which of course I would encourage you to do. And today I was just thinking about infinity because of that, is whether it's thoughts, words, actions. This is why it's so important for us to be mindful of what energies we put out, because it's certainly affecting us before it goes out from us, but it's also affecting the world, and it's held by this pure consciousness of the world. So I wanted to share that with you, and I thought I'd share another quotation. This is about meditation, so I thought I'd link this together. This is actually by Voltaire, and the quotation says, "Meditation is the dissolution of thoughts in eternal awareness or pure consciousness without objectification, knowing without thinking, merging finitude in infinity." So you can see why this infinity quote came to me. Now, what does this mean, right? So you might hear this quote, and some of you might think that's a lot of information. Let's break it apart. So when we think about the dissolution of thoughts in eternal awareness or pure consciousness without objectification, think about when we're meditating and we're clearing our mind. Even if you were to take a flower, some people need some image to look at to meditate on, right? You don't need to think about the name of the flower to objectify the flower, right? You can just look at the beauty. Now, beauty is infinite, right? So you can be merging finitude, which is this flower that you're seeing, with infinity by doing that process, right? This knowing without thinking, this is, this is something beautiful in your hand if you're holding this rose. And you can know it without thinking about it, right? And that's the joy of meditation, and of even appreciating beauty this way, right? So this is a beautiful meditation that anyone can do at any time. And of course, if you're closing your eyes and you are sitting in, the proper meditative experience, it's even more beautiful. But the task would be the same, is to literally dissolution of the thoughts, that whole, there's no thought in that time, right? So every time a thought comes into the mind, you just kind of push it out and say, right now, for this time, no thought, right? So we're kind of retraining our minds in that way. So today I'd love for you to spend even a minute, but I'd love if you could spend 5 minutes to see if you can meditate on something for 5 minutes. It could be beauty. It could be the energy around you. It could be a person that you're thinking of. It could be to look at a photo. Now, again, I don't want you to think of the person to combine with thoughts about a person, right? It could be just literally with not any thought. Maybe it's the feeling the person brings to you, right? So that could be a meditation. And I want to finish with this beautiful quotation, which maybe some of you have heard, which is by William Blake. And it really does, to me, explain the experience of meditation or living meditation, living in this space. So this quotation says, "To see a world in a grain of sand and heaven in a wildflower, hold infinity in the palm of your hand and eternity in an hour." Isn't that beautiful? Again, I'm going to read it again so you can hear it and hopefully absorb some of the information that's being shared by this beautiful quote. It says, "To see a world in a grain of sand and heaven in a wildflower, hold infinity in the palm of your hand and eternity in an hour." Does that make sense to you? So when we think about to see a world in a grain of sand, to think that that sand is just like our own experience, right? That grain of sand is everything. One small thing is everything. A single atom is everything, right? So it's just to expand our view of how we look at things. When we think about heaven and a wildflower, right? And again, it's no thought, right? It's just this feeling, right? Hold infinity in the palm of your hand, right? So again, same idea, an eternity in an hour, and recognizing that this moment is everything. So one single hour is everything, but I'll say a single moment is eternity too. So maybe this video has felt like eternity for you. I hope not. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you know that even if you are focusing on, as I did this morning, thinking about infinity, you might want to think about thoughts that do not have this binding to time and space. So if we think about something like peace, right? We think of peace is just a feeling, right? So it doesn't mean that there's no war here. That means there's peace. That's how often we think about it in terms of politics, right? Or if we think about in terms of beauty, it's not definable, right? It's infinite. If we think about love is infinite, right? So pure, genuine love is infinite. There's nothing binding it. It just flows, right? This is the experience of the infinite. And I hope you find one thing to spend at least 1 minute, which might seem very short, but sometimes it's not so easy for people to even stop their minds for 1 minute to focus on one idea for 1 minute. But if you can do for 5 minutes, that'd be fantastic. And I hope you enjoy the experience. I wish you a fantastic day ahead or evening ahead. And I hope you remember, transform your mind and transform your life. Have a great day, everyone.